I honestly just have one question. Carolyn, did you plan this?
Only apply that. Get it, don't be timid when you in it, apply that. Love up on it, give along, leave it. I don't want no trip, baby, spray like it.
Here. My name is Ashley, and this is My Sweet Perspective, where I give my take on all things TV and movie related, and I am here to put you on, okay? You guys, welcome back to the channel. Hey, sweet peas. I hope you're having the most amazing day ever. And all of the 10,000 of you that are here, thank you and welcome, 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 welcome. I'm so grateful and so filled with gratitude, but we are back to talk FX's love story, episode 4, I Love You. And I'm not gonna lie, it starts off real cute, okay? Real cute and real secretive. And then the episode is like, girl, there's more to the story than meets the eye. But you know what it is. We are back to do this weekly review. We're going to talk about everything that happened with JFK Jr. and Carolyn Bessette in order. And then, of course, give my thoughts because this episode had romance, tension, and mess. And it actually moved the story forward. Spoilers ahead if you didn't already know. Spoilers are what I do. So episode 4 really leans into the vibe of this relationship being a secret. Baby, when we get into this opening shot at this party, we see Carolyn on this side, we see JFK Jr. on the other side. He walks behind her and slips something in her hand. And what is he putting in her hand? Do you know he put a raggedy olive in her hand and she turns around and gobbles it down? Do you know the germs that are there just from walking from where he picked up that raggedy olive to when he slipped it in her dirty hands that she's been probably rubbing all over walls and tables since all she can do is lean and stretch herself out? Come on now. So immediately we're getting that this is a secret rendezvous. We're already here. We're stealing kisses. We're sneaking outside. I'm not going to lie, it's working. Very cute. They're sneaking around like teenagers, allegedly because she doesn't like the limelight. She doesn't want this to be known. She doesn't want this to be public. And honestly, right now in the episode, it's not official. But definitely, again, like I said last week, this feels like a quintessential 90s love story in New York, the kind of romance where the tension is when they don't want to say it out loud. And John is very clearly in that mode where he's like, I'm already locked in. Listen, I'm off the market. Don't ask me nothing. Who's the yucky lady? I'm not saying all that, but he is very serious very early on, which is a big deal because he's not really the type of man who can do anything privately. Everything about him is in headlines waiting to happen. Then we get one of those moments that feels very intimate and real. And from the lighting to the room to all of the things, this little love scene that they have in the very beginning and the sun waking up and all of these shared moments, it was giving, honey. It was delivering. They both look great. The on-screen chemistry is everything. And so we have this really quiet moment early in the episode, and he's like, man, you're going to break my heart, aren't you? And she's like, will you tell me about who broke your heart? As she fiddles with this little ring that she wears on her necklace. And she's like, I'll let you know when it happens, baby, basically saying, I'm paying you dust. And immediately, like we said on the live, City Girl's up 100,000 with Carolyn because she is playing this to the T. If that's what happened, again, I don't think any of us will ever truly know if she knew, but some things come out this episode. So definitely we're going to get into it. But the way it lands, this episode definitely has some foreshadowing because we know their inevitable end, unfortunately, because the Jackie has already passed in this timeline and John is dealing with the grief and legacy at the same time. And then we get that adult reality layer. We have a $34 million inheritance tax that we got to work with. And so we get to see Sister Caroline and then really share a moment about her understanding now Jackie O's choice to raise them differently. She's like, John, you needed structure. You needed to understand and figure out how to be a man and stand on your own 2 feet while I just was trying to make it. And she parented us accordingly. But now that I understand that and I understand that moving and going into my life. And of course, this is us getting a sneak peek into potentially what their process looked like because not for nothing, but seeing all of your family heirlooms, all of the things that your mother has acquired over time on this table ready to be auctioned off really speaks to legacy and what you own and how long do you have those things, right? And how everything is really temporal. And so I adored it. I love the relationship between Caroline and JFK Jr. It's special. You know what I mean? It's special. And I think in this moment, they have to unite. I think outside of the full romance that we get in this episode between Carolyn and JFK Jr., what stood out to me greatly is the bond that Caroline and her brother had. You could tell she loves him down bad and he loves her. And in this shared grief, in this mourning, we still have to make things happen. We still have to move forward. And John, you're not a spring chicken, baby. And there's things that you need to do to pass on the family name and make a name for yourself, right? So I really enjoyed that scene. So now we got the theme keeps coming that this is not an ordinary life. Carolyn is trying to stay to herself while being pulled into John's world. And his world is not just him, it's his friends, it's expectation, it's the paparazzi, it's everybody checking for you, right? And so again, she's spun this narrative up to this point that I don't like the public eye. I'm not doing all that. So we catch her in her apartment with her friend, and he's a designer and he is fitting her for a dress, and the dress is fabulous, honey. And we all of a sudden get a call, and she's like, no, 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 let it go to voicemail. She knows exactly what she's doing. She knows that JFK Jr. ain't had to chase no cat ever. The cat delivers itself to his doorstep. And so she says, I'm going to play this different. I'm going to be hard to get. And so he's calling. She doesn't answer. It goes to voicemail. Hey, I was just wondering, you want to take a little boat ride with me? I have a little undisclosed location. We can tip off, we can trip. You know what I mean? Little red Corvette. And she's like, no, no. He calls back. He said, look at the window. Goes to the window. He's downstairs. He's not playing with you, Carolyn. And you knew he wasn't. She said, come get me, Big Daddy. Bark if you want it. And it's cute. I like the coy thing because all the while we do have this confrontation later on about whether or not she had plotted, planned, and schemed to get into his world. What I will say, there's never a question or doubt for me of the attraction of the chemistry between these two. Whether or not she plotted, planned, and schemed to get into his orbit or not, I do believe, at least from what we're seeing, that there was this genuine attraction, this genuine and eventually love for each other. But of course, we'll get to that. So anyway, he's like, come on, let's go. They go. She's stretched out on this boat. And shout out to Ryan Murphy, to Connor Hines, to all of the people that are behind this production. Because when you look at the looks, the real pictures that the paparazzi got from this boat trip, immaculate. The poses that Carolyn, who act like she didn't want to be filmed, was doing, girl, you knew them people was over there. And so anyway, they have their little rendezvous. It's very cute. And then they start getting to talk, and they're talking about life and career. And she's still working at Calvin Klein, wanting a life and a future for herself. And he talks about his idea for George Magazine, and she immediately jumps in. Now, prior to watching this episode and prior to the live discussion that we had on Friday, myself and Tyra over at Struggle Reviews TV, I really wondered what was this great big attraction that John has to Carolyn, right? And the more I sat with it, especially after the conversation where she's giving him instructions, I know the magazine business, you need to do it this way. It needs to be sexy on the cover. This is what you need to do, John, and it's going to work. There is something very similar about the Jackie that we met and the Carolyn that we're meeting in terms of these being strong women who know their own mind, who have a plan, and dare I say, border on control a little bit. I'm just going to sit that over there because she was like, your idea is cute and all, but this is how you're going to do it and how you're going to execute it. And I think something about him is drawn to that type of woman. And I guess how could you not be when you were raised by a very vocal mother? Maybe that's what it is. And so he's like, you want to meet the friends? And she's like, all right, fine. I'll meet your friends. I'll go over. And so he's meeting at the bar with his friends, with the one black lady and the rest of his other friends. And immediately she fits right in, honey. Give me my cigarette. I'm going to sit down. We're going to hang out. Carolyn knows how to adapt in every situation. I will say that from episodes 1 through 4 now, she's very aware. She's hyper aware of what's going on in every room that she's in. She's astute and she knows how to not only blend in, but make herself known. You know what I mean? In this space. And so she's hitting it off with the friends just fine. John gets up to go to the bar to get a drink, and we see a fine woman approach him. Baby, she was brunette. He ain't want nothing over there. And so anyway, Carolyn's kind of looking like, what's going on? And one of the homies is like, don't worry, he ain't gonna take the number in front of you. Now, he might have taken it, but he's not going to do that in front of you. He's not disrespectful like that. Listen, the hoes be after him. This is everywhere we go. it is what it is. And so immediately he gets back to the table. She flings out this lighter that her ex got her. Who got you that lighter? My ex, because he's not the only one wanted. Now, this is when I was like, Carolyn, you're playing a game because we all know who JFK Jr. is, baby. You don't have to remind him that you're wanted. He wants you. And that's enough. And so she's like, well, basically, I gotta go. My mama's having a dinner and you don't mess with my mother. All right. And John's like, well, can I go? No, we're not doing that. Again, he's brutally rebuffed at every turn. And something about him enjoys that, in my opinion. So now we go back to Carolyn's house and we meet the mama. And the dinner and the warning is with Carolyn's mom. And baby, Carolyn mama not playing at all. Carolyn's mom basically gives her the line that hits like a brick. Don't lose yourself. And that's real. I see what you got going on. It's very cute, but remember who he is and remember who you are. Now, someone in the comments was like, their worlds weren't too far apart. And I beg to differ. I think it's very few people in the world who had an upbringing like JFK Jr. and Caroline had. Of course, with all of just being the children of the president and all of that and the legacy of that, but the assassination, the issues with the family in general, I don't think Carolyn could fully conceptualize what she was in for. And so it was like mom was saying, I know who you are, baby. You did everything you needed to do in your life. You're that girl. You did all of those things. And it's just like, baby, be careful. You know what this is. And of course, we get to meet Carolyn's sister there, and it's a moment because John just isn't any man. This is going to bring its own share of hazards, right? If you will. And so now John is like, my sister's having a party. Carolyn, I really want you to come. Carolyn gets to this party. She's thinking it's a party. Let's all get wasted. And this is a dinner party with a seating arrangement, damn it. Now that's breaking all of the rules of Emily Post. You don't go to people's house when there's a planned seating arrangement and just bring somebody extra. Lord, John ain't learned nothing. And this is the moment I knew John's not used to nice things, nice people. He's not used to it. Baby, have you ever really liked a woman before? Is what it gives because Carolyn gets there and she's out of sorts. I'm not even dressed properly. I didn't know what this was. Let me go find Caroline, introduce myself, and talk to her. And Caroline does throw some shade in this moment. It gives very much, girl, he always brings people there. He don't really, but he does bring unannounced visitors to my birthday party. I'm so sorry I didn't know this was your birthday party. I didn't know this was a sit-down dinner. And so, of course, then we get to the actual dinner, and Caroline's looking at JFK Jr. Boy, what did you do? Because, of course, Carolyn's got to sit way at the other end of the table. They're really just treating her as a placeholder. People are having conversations with her, but not quite engaging. And so Caroline eventually pulls JFK Jr. to the side and is like, John, why did you do this? You like her, act like you like her. He's like, I actually think she's the one. I really think she's that girl. And she's like, well, if she is, act like it, damn it. I love Caroline checking her brother because get it together, John. You act like you ain't been nowhere and haven't had anything. And so they're like, this is what it is. So next thing we know, John is out playing because he's going to play football in the park. He's going to do all those things. And he finds a 4-page letter. Yes, I'm sending you a 4-page letter. And I sealed it with a kiss, right? On legal paper. I was like, this is a yellow legal pad. You know how long those pages are? And somebody had filled it up. And basically, in this letter, though we didn't get to read it, but we hear about it in the confrontation later, they've said that Carolyn Bessette's intentions are not proper. She has been talking about you for years. She's been trying to get into your orbit, all of those things. And so now John is immediately taken aback. And he calls Carolyn over and she's having a good time. She got her Calvin Klein jeans on. She's living her best life, all the things. And then he says, did you plan this? Did you make Calvin? Did you know I was going to be at that party? Did you make Calvin introduce us? Because I got this letter. Let me see the letter. Baby, this is manipulation tactics 101. I'm just saying, nobody does it better. And she played the game. Not once did she fully address the situation. John, did I ever ask you for anything? I have never asked you for anything. Not even your sorry ass hand in marriage, sir. I have never asked you for nothing. And they're writing you letters. Who sent it? I said, oh, Carolyn got a temper, baby. She got a temper and he's sitting there, I don't know what to do because somebody always is trying to use me and all of those things. So he's heartbroken, all of the things. He goes and talks to his sister, and his sister's like, what kind of piss poor man are you? Because what kind of raggedy friend do you have that would slip a note in your back anonymously and you're just going to take it at its word and go against your girl? If you said you love her and she's the one, You go back and get your girl. Now we get into stalker JFK Jr. Because, sir, ain't no way you snuck into her apartment and was sitting there in the dark on her couch when she came in. But then we get the ultimate conversation around him saying, listen, this is how I show up in the world. I'm used to the world bending to my whims, to my wants, to my desires, to my needs, and somebody always wanting something from me. And so I'm sorry that I put that on you. And she's like, you should be sorry. And you want to know why I wear this necklace and my heart broken and all of those things? I wear this not because me and my dad had this great relationship. I wear this as a reminder that I can't trust people and I can't let people in. John. He's like, I'm sorry, baby. Let's make up. I love you. And so now we're officially back together and all is well with the world until the next morning because she goes to the workhouse and just looking fly in her Calvin Klein eyes. She's doing her little one too and sees the headline, bum shell, baby. Her booty is all over page 6 and she's literally mortified. But this is what's going to happen, y'all. This is what's going to happen. Nothing is private. Nothing is sacred. And the way you posed, lady, you knew all over the New York Post, all over it. And again, she's cringing. And I don't think she liked that per se. But for me, it was kind of feigning because you knew that they were out there. We saw the cameras out there. Overall, I enjoyed this episode. It had romance, it had tension, and it had a plot that actually matters. The secret relationship vibes were cute, but you can feel the pressure closing in. Carolyn is clearly not built for public consumption lifestyle. And I don't mean that as a weakness. It's coming across as though she does want a level of privacy. But also on the other side of that, you knew exactly what you were signing up for. John wants money and normalcy, but he still makes choices that show he doesn't fully understand what his name can do and how it affects other people. And the letter situation, that's giving, unless he requested the information, it is giving a little bit of sabotage. On the other side of that, did we ever hear Carolyn deny it? Again, this is fictional. This is based on real events, but wasn't nobody there to get the full tea for this story. So we're going to treat the show just as that, right? We're going to treat it as that. The fact that he entertained the letter for a second tells me that we're going to keep bumping into something because John is so used to somebody wanting something from him. He's not used to anybody wanting him just for him. And again, the fact that she didn't fully deny it, I don't know. And honestly, I don't know how I feel about Carolyn. Do I trust her more than I trust John? Maybe, but I feel like he's going into this very naive and very nose wide open. And I feel like she's more calculated, and that's a different dynamic. And again, although I feel as though she's somewhat calculated, it doesn't take away from the fact that I do think that she really is falling for John. Because even in a moment when she gets mad and could have hooked up with the model, she calls him, but she doesn't follow through. So that lets me know that there is something that she's still holding on to in this relationship. Drop in the comments, who do you think planted the letter? And do you think John is ever going to learn how to protect Carolyn? Or is he going to keep bringing her into rooms that she didn't ask to answer? All right, sweet peas, it's been so real. Please be sure to hype, comment, subscribe, do all of the things. And I'll see y'all back for episode 5 and more videos in between. So make sure you have your notifications on, and I'll see you in the next one.